Hey, here's a really small suggestion that a lot of independent comic creators, people who are doing things very small, can do. And in many cases, this advice will not seem completely new, but there's a little spin on it. You can easily do it for yourself, make for a bigger profile, make you seem like a bigger deal. And I'm going to tell you how to do it. Simple, simple trick. Hey, everybody, this is Perch. One of the things that I found people who can copy to great success is it's because technology has evolved, and especially now that we're in this new kind of COVID world, and the reality is you've seen some of the kind of the Zoom meetups, and undoubtedly the San Diego Comic Con virtual stuff. Those sessions are going to be terrible. People are not going to know how to use the technology. It's going to be really uneven and bad. You're going to have some creators who have audio that's really crystal clear, and you'll have others that have audio like me, and you're going to have just a whole random mess. And also, these conventions always overspend and do stupid things when it comes to the streaming technology. They get suckered in by like something Adobe is pushing. They don't really know how to use it. It's really awkward and clunky. And in many cases, if they just signed up to Zoom and just paid for an account, like paid the $15, they'd be better off, like way better off. But you'll see some people who are doing that kind of virtual green screen that looks super cheesy and bad. Like everybody gets excited about it, and then you realize it makes you look awful, or what have you. You're going to see this kind of clunky virtual con. Now, given that, what does that mean? That means you, as an independent creator who has no money, can do the same or better than a lot of these people who are giant companies. And given that the playing field has been leveled, why not pretend like you're one of these big companies? So here's a very simple idea that I've seen people do to reasonable success, but very few people do it. So back when AMC, well, I guess they still do. They have the Walking Dead. You have the show The Talking Dead. No, I'm not going to talk about whatever kind of shenanigans Chris Hartman got up to. They did this thing where the show would drop, and the Walking Dead would drop, and then they would do right after kind of a behind the scenes little talk show like approach. If you are a small independent creator, consider that every time you drop a show, or you drop a comic rather, that you go and you do an hour basic live stream just to promote your work. Now you may be saying a lot of people do that already. That's not a new idea. Yeah, here's the new idea though. Pretend like you're Marvel. No, wait a minute, don't do that. Pretend like you're a legitimate, buttoned up company that has their act together, and approach it like you're doing a press conference on your comic. Don't do it cheesy. Don't have fake props or any of that. Just kind of tidy up your room, whatever you're trying to do. Put a background. If you don't want to show your face, then have a nice little background. Get somebody who has very basic Photoshop skills to make you a little logo or a little title card. Most people can crank those out in about 5 minutes. You can even go to like these sites that will allow you to do just text treatment. It's just very simple. But just make yourself a little title card and come on and just no nonsense. And when I say no nonsense, I mean don't wander into whatever social topic is bothering you today. If Trump's doing something stupid, or on the other end, if the other side is whatever the SJW side is doing something stupid, whatever it happens to be, avoid that stuff. You're there on message. You're not there to fill like 5 hours of content and eat pie or whatever you're doing. You're there for 30 minutes of just straightforward, hey, comic came out and here's me talking about it. Or if you're making a comic, certainly do your YouTube channel, do your live streams, do your silliness, but make sure that you devote on schedule, like every other Friday, whatever it happens to be, go on for 30 minutes, do a, very straightforward, hey, here's a comic, I got this done today, got some pages, maybe show some art, maybe not. Just walk through what you're doing. Make it dry. When I say dry, I mean don't try and be charming, entertaining. Just be informational. Get it out there. Make yourself appear like you're doing a little, a checkpoint on your comic, either what's out or as it's being created. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, Marvel and DC and the others are slowly coming around to the idea that would probably be a good idea. but it's going to take them a while. It's going to be another year before they figure it out. Conventions are going to continue to be super clunky and weird and crappy where this is concerned, and they're trying to wrestle a bunch of people together. Just come out and pretend like you've got a legitimate product that you're out trying to sell. It's got a brand, it's got a trademark, it's got a copyright, it's got a story and a vehicle, and you're going to come out and you're just going to say, hey, here we are. It's Friday, and here's the latest update, and here's where things are at. Now, Marvel and DC will eventually figure out this is a reasonable idea, and you will start to see more things like it's cheap connecting to fans. Now, why in a time where everybody is virtual working from home, and YouTube has been around forever? Why they don't do things like this, I don't know. Again, they always try and overcomplicate it. They go cutesy with these kind of Marvel lifestyle shows rather than just putting out a very straightforward, hey, here's like for example, if you had a comic that was kind of struggling a little bit, or not maybe not even struggling, just middle tier. Classic example would be Batman and the Outsiders, or just that book. Okay, Brian Edward Hill's on it. He talks extremely well about his product. He knows it. He knows the characters. He knows where he's going with it. He's got a lot of insights about other things in Hollywood and so on. Very, very easy for Brian Hill to basically every month check in. Like first Thursday of the month, I'm going to check in. We're going to talk about the issue that just happened. I'm going to give you a few little teases of what's coming up. Here's some interesting things that went on. There you go. 15, 20 minutes in and out. Here's my comic. This would make incredible sense for the big publishers because it's cheap, it's easy to produce, it provides ongoing attachment, it makes the product look bigger than it is because you're doing like a little press conference, if you will, on the comic itself, and you can just continue to expand. You can have 3 more titles join that. Why not just be regular about it? The key is to, like, it's almost like something you're tuning in on TV. I know there's everybody binges at once with Netflix and all the rest, but there's still something to be said for regularity. So if people simply come on and say, hey, at 4:00 once a month, first Thursday, there's going to be a little update on what's going on with the comic. You can look forward to it. You can set your clock to it. The crazy part is people have tried to do this in the past. They've thought about it, but they psych themselves out. They do it for the first time and they have like 6 viewers. And it's like, well, all right, clearly this was a failure. I'll never do it again. No, the trick is to the next month, do it again, same time. You will guaranteed get more viewers the second time. And every time you show that it's something people count on, people can rely on, it will expand. You'll get more and more and more. And it's just, it builds on itself. It's super, super easy to pull off. You just got to have to commit to just, stick it out and doing it and realize that the show you're on is going to be less than the next show, always. Now, to recap a bit, because again, if you're listening to this, you might go, there are people who already do this. I don't get it. This is not new information. This is kind of dumb, cheap advice. It is new in the sense that very few people are actually doing this effectively or doing it regularly. Or again, they come in, they want to try and screw up the set, or they want to try and get real fancy with it, or they want to bring in a buddy that is going to kind of ham it up like they're Johnny Carson. That's an old reference, but anyway, they always try and cutify it, and what they do is in the process they blow the just very basic, straightforward. Here's how it can work. You need to look like you're reading the news. Not completely that boring, but definitely from a standpoint of here is some information. You want it, here you go. That's the trick. That's what you need to pull off. You need to pull off like this is something very ordinary, something very regular. You've been doing this comic for a long time. You know what's going on, and you're there to present information. Now, again, there are people listening to us right now who are saying that sounds boring. You're not going to get anybody's attention. It's not going to work. It will, though. It's not about entertaining people. The goal is to make yourself look bigger, make yourself appear like you are the Marvel, the DC, the big publisher, because you've got your stuff just buttoned up. That's the game you're playing here. That's the trick you're trying to pull off, is you're trying to shorten the gap between yourself and the big publisher. And now is the time. Again, the big publisher is screwing up all over the place. They don't know what they're doing. They have a just vague sense of how to use any of this technology. And so it's a perfect time to actually just beat them in their own game by simply showing up and doing a competent job. Yeah, that's the bar we're at right now. Competent. That's all you have to do. Come across as competent, and things will work out for you. And if you don't believe me, just check out the people who are usurping the big publishers, the big boys, by just doing the basics. Doing the basics is literally all it takes right now. You just got to have some willpower to actually do it. So try this out. If you are a small publisher, just figure out one day a month that you're going to do this. Announce it. Say, we're going to give you a behind the scenes look at the making of this comic and fill you in all the information and just kind of lay it out there. To that point, when Peter Samedi was starting with Alterna, and before, quite some time ago, he was doing that kind of State of the Union with Alterna. And it benefited him quite a bit, more than I think he realizes, of just starting to get a feeling of solid, is being solid, just being a product people can depend on. When you're starting out new and you have something small, that's the biggest hurdle you have to make to kind of remove yourself from the perception that you're some just kind of hobby thing that's just kind of hanging out there and is not really serious. That's the trick. Most people never escape from that. They continue to look amateur and they don't know why. The problem is, I mean, amateur, has a lot of pieces to it. It could be a perception about how the work looks. It can be how it's delivered. It can be the style people use. But the biggest factor is just the big guys have this almost corporate, solid kind of way of approaching things that is very dry, very boring, and people look at it and go, I can be more exciting than that. I can be great. Uh, but they fail because they try and jump immediately to kind of the gimmicks and the wacky shit that the big publishers pull off, and they miss the basics. And the basics are what give you the platform and the trust and the credibility to then do crazy stuff. That's the trick. You have to get the basics established. People try and skip that step. So I hope this makes some sense, but try it out. If you're wanting to do it's an easy little trick. Just pretend you're one of the big guys, emulate some of the things they do from a like that look corporate and looks basic, and just start clocking away. That will get you there. That will get you to the finish line. Anyway, what do you think? Comments, suggestions, advice. This is the dumbest thing you've ever heard. That's cool too. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch. Don't overthink it. Don't psych yourself out. This is actually easier than you think. It just requires you to take some very basic steps and not get ahead of yourself. Thanks for listening.